Chapter 3, Mishnah 1. The first 6 Mishnahs of this chapter record disputes between Rabbi Dosa ben Harkinas and the sages about different subjects. The first of these Mishnahs, which also appears in Oholos 3:1, is mainly about the transmission of Tumah by a human corpse. To understand the Mishnah, it is necessary to know that a corpse can transmit Tumah in any of these 3 ways. A. Touching. A person or object that touches a corpse becomes tameh. B. Carrying. A person who carries or moves a corpse becomes tameh even if he does not touch it. For example, it is in a box. C. Ohel. Literally roof. A person or object that is under the same roof as a corpse, or directly over a corpse, or directly under a corpse becomes tameh. The Mishnah also mentions the tumah of a dead animal, nevela, which can be transmitted only in the first 2 ways, touching and carrying, and not in the 3rd way, ohel. Even part of a human corpse or animal carcass transmits tumah, provided that it has a certain minimum volume. If the part is flesh, the minimum is a kazayas, the size of an olive. The Mishnah discusses situations where the minimum amount is divided into 2 parts, and thus each part is too small to transmit tumah on its own. The Tanaim disagree as to whether, in certain circumstances, the 2 parts can combine to transmit tumah, even though they are physically separate. If any part of a human corpse that is large enough to transmit tumah by means of ohel, for example, an olive's volume, was divided into 2, so each part is less than the required amount, and someone brought the pieces into a house, Rabbi Dosa ben Harkinas rules that any person or object in that house is tahor, because the pieces are separate and each on its own is too small to transmit tumah. But the sages rule any person or object in the house is tameh, because the separate pieces do combine with each other. This dispute applies in other situations as well. How so? That is, in which other cases, besides the one just mentioned, do Rabbi Dosa and the sages disagree? 1. If someone touches 2 pieces of an animal carcass, each the size of a half olive. 2. Or if he carries them. And regarding a human corpse which transmits tumah even through ohel, there are another 4 cases. 3. If someone touches a half olive piece of human corpse and forms a roof over another half olive piece, for example, he touches 1 piece with one hand and puts his other hand over the other piece. 4. Or he touches a half olive piece while another half olive piece forms a roof over him. For example, he touches 1 piece with one hand and puts his other hand under the other piece. 5. Or he forms a roof over 2 half olive-sized pieces. For example, he puts one hand over 1 piece and his other hand over the other piece. 6. Or he forms a roof over 1 half olive piece and another half olive piece forms a roof over him. For example, the same category, for example, they both transmit through touching or they both transmit through carrying, they combine to form the required amount and make the person tameh. But if they transmit tumah in ways that are from 2 different categories, for example, touching and carrying, they do not combine and the person remains tahor.